Eminence Virochana, Vice Rector Phra Pandit, members of the Sangha Executive Council, and all venerable masters. It is my profound honor to join this ceremony, welcoming His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche to Mahachulalongkorn University. I must say that I am unworthy of such an honor, especially in the face of one who has displayed such wisdom and kindness beyond his years. So on behalf of Chung Monastery, I would like to offer my gratitude to the dedicated Bhikkhus of Mahachulalongkorn University, Dhammaduta College, and His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche for making this occasion possible. It is an auspicious occasion when the three great Buddhist traditions, Theravada, Mahayana, and Vajrayana, can come together in the spirit of friendship to share the Dharma. And so each of us may further the mission of purifying the minds and the hearts of sentient. This opportunity is also the fruit of nearly 5 years of exchange between Chung Monastery and Mahachulalongkorn University, and would not have been possible without the generous support of the esteemed Dhammaduta College. For this, you have my sincere gratitude. Today's topic is the practical management of Mahayana monasteries in Mahayana Buddhism. And at first, this topic may seem fairly straightforward. However, the practical management of monasteries in Mahayana Buddhism, the essence of this question discusses what we must do as Buddhist disciples to preserve the Dharma and establish a foundation of practice for the generations that will come afterwards to learn the Buddhist teachings. Without the monastery, how many people would be able to practice? Without someone to arrange the human and material resources that are necessary to sustain our practice, then how long can Buddhism and the Buddha Dharma remain in this world? So the management of Mahayana monasteries is a quite profound and pertinent question to the work that Mahachulalongkorn University does. Of course, I can only offer you a very limited perspective from my role as a Chinese monk. So, in order to understand how to manage a Mahayana monastery, we must first discuss what is a Mahayana monastery. What are the architectural and management and means of practice that define this monastery? And so to begin today's lecture, we first go back to about 2,000 years ago in ancient China, dynastic China, during the Eastern Han Dynasty. In the reign of Emperor Ming, about 2,000 years ago, it is said that one night this emperor, he dreamed of a golden sage who flew from the western land and soared through the sky to arrive at his imperial palace. And of course, the emperors of ancient China were great students of virtue. And so they wanted to learn virtue in order to rule their kingdom, to serve their people. And when he had this dream, he felt that it was an auspicious symbol, a golden sage flying through the sky. And so the next morning, he convened his chancellors, his officials, and asked them, "So what is the meaning of this dream? Please tell me what this dream means for my kingdom." Now, there was another person present at this meeting, and he was a historian. So even 2,000 years ago, in China, there was already a very long history spanning thousands of years. And each dynasty kept meticulous records of each and everything that happened in the court. And so this historian was an expert on these records. And so he told the king, according to the records of the Western Zhou dynasty, which was more than 1,000 years ago from that time, an enlightened sage appeared in the Western lands. And of course, this referred to the Buddha, Shakyamuni Buddha, who achieved enlightenment in India. Now, in China, India was referred to as the Western land. And during that time, it was foretold, there was a prophecy, that his teachings would reach the Middle Kingdom of China during your reign. And so the emperor, when he heard this, he was overjoyed, and he dispatched 2 envoys to travel all the way to India in order to invite the teachings back to his kingdom so that they may learn and study them. At this time, there was no Buddhism in China. But as chance would have it, or as we say in Buddhism, as causes and conditions would have it, the envoy, a scholar called Cai Ying, and his disciple, Xingzhen, they encountered 2 Indian masters along the way, on the road. And so they didn't even make it to India. And these 2 masters, as you see in the picture, were enlightened sages. One was called Kayaspa Matanga, or in Chinese, Jiashe Moten. And the second, Dhammaratana, Dufalan. And these 2 Indian sages have a special place in Chinese history because they were carrying with them the Buddhist sutras. The first sutra came to China on the white horse that these 2 sages brought. And so the envoys from the Eastern Han Dynasty, they completed their mission without even traveling to India. And these 2 bhikkhus were received as guests of the state. But let me ask you this. In a place with no Buddhism, where would they stay? There was no such thing as a monastery. And so the emperor, a wise man, he built a special place according to their needs so that they could practice. And the first monastery was called White Horse Monastery in China, in honor of the white horse that brought the first Buddhist sutra to China. And coincidentally, this sutra is also the first one that we have to learn in the Buddhist Institute at Chung. It's called the Sutra of 42 Chapters. And it was translated here at White Horse Monastery. And so the emperor, he was pleased with their arrival. He was able to learn the Dharma. And he established a place of practice in their honor. As another sign of respect, he also assigned a Chinese character to designate the monastery. And this character is called Si. So Chengtai Chan Monastery, when you translate to Chinese, is Zongtai, Chengtai, Chan, Chan. And monastery is Si. The word Si originally referred to a government office or ministry. But as a sign of respect, the emperor decreed that all monasteries from then on would be called Si. And this character continues to be used in China to this day. So from that time on, as the Chinese understanding of Buddha Dharma began to deepen, so you must know that when the Dharma was being taught in China, there was a period of cultural exchange. In fact, in the early stages of Chinese Buddhism, there was something called He Yi, Bo Jiao. which is where Chinese scholars would use existing religious concepts in order to understand Buddhist teachings. And very gradually, this process of cultural exchange developed into what we know today as the Mahayana school, which is the form of Buddhism predominantly practiced in ancient China. But as the Chinese understanding of what comprises a monastery began to deepen, then also the principles of monastic management began to take shape. And that is what we will be talking about today, is how are the principles of management related to the form of Buddhism that is practiced in China, as well as how it was developed. So from this picture, you can see a quintessential, a very commonly seen design for the Chinese monastery. And the reason why monasteries look like this in China is because many concepts which are derived from India and Buddhist teachings were adapted in order to harmonize with the spiritual needs of the Chinese people, the local culture, and the environment. And of course, monastery design and management were no exception. Let me give you an example. You might have heard of the term Sangha. You must forgive my pronunciation. But in Sangha, in the Sanskrit, it originally referred to a place where the Sangha dwells, like the home for the Sangha. And it didn't necessarily refer to a collection of buildings. It could have been a forest, a grove, a mountain. But as the Chinese understanding of Buddhism began to adapt to local customs and cultures, a Sangha was then understood to include at least 7 buildings in what was called the 7-hall monastery complex. The Qi Tan Qie Lan are the 7-hall monastery complex. Now, these 7 structures have very much in common with Thai Buddhism. For example, every monastery, almost every one, if it is possible, will have a pagoda to store sacred relics, or less commonly, the sutra books. This is the pagoda in Chung Chan Monastery. I'm happy to share with you today, because it is unique in one respect, in that it is one of the only pagodas that is built indoors. So in Chung there is still a pagoda, but it is indoors. In the traditional layout, oftentimes the pagoda would be the center of monastic life, as you can see from this picture. Now, the second building would be a Dharma lecture hall, or in our tradition, we call it a Chan hall. And this is the place where you find the Buddha altar, and we hold assemblies and formal occasions, celebrations, or for ritual. Oftentimes in Chinese temple, you have either a threefold arrangement of Buddhas or a single Buddha. So as you can see, in the Buddha hall at our monastery, there are 3 Buddhas on the altar. And this is a common motif in Chinese Buddhist art. So the second building is a Buddha hall. And also sometimes a monastery will include a lecture hall, like the one we're sitting in right now, for masters to come and teach the Dharma. There are also bell towers, sutra repositories, and living quarters for the Sangha. So this is a picture of Chung Chan Monastery. And if you look to the left and the right, where you see the small holes on the either side of the center axis, those are the Sangha dormitories. And the reason why they are designed this way is to evoke the tradition of Buddhist practitioners living in cave grottos in ancient India. And so these are the living quarters for the Sangha. And finally, there is a dining hall, also called the 5 Contemplation Hall. Now, the design of Chinese monasteries was deeply influenced by the imperial court, because in ancient China, oftentimes monasteries would be built under commission by the emperor. And so the Sangha adapted many styles of imperial design to suit Buddhist practice. For example, most Chinese monasteries will be built along a north to south axis. And from this picture here, you might see that the main entrance is facing to the south. So one way you can determine whether a monastery is Buddhist or not in the Chinese tradition is the way it is oriented. And also, the layout would be symmetrical. And this is very important in Buddhist architecture. So the monastery's layout is symmetrical. Now here's a better picture of monastic life. And from it, you can see other aspects of imperial design, for example, the curved roofs and the multi-layered stairs. So all of these are very distinctive Chinese architectural features. For example, it is said that in China, when you build a bridge between point A and point B, it has to turn at least 3 times for the aesthetic appeal. And so all of these design features you can also see in Buddhist monasteries. Now, this following excerpt comes from the journal of a pilgrim who traveled to one of the 4 sacred mountains of China called Mount Wutai. And the Mount Wutai is associated with one of the bodhisattvas in Mahayana practice called Manjusri. And he stayed at a monastery called Foguang. So in his journal, he says, on the night of the 27th day, the 5th lunar month, I witnessed at this monastery luminous lanterns in a cloud form flying in the dark sky 18 times. So this is an auspicious symbol as recorded in his journal. And sometimes at monasteries, you see these signs when you hold Dharma ceremonies or big events, and we take it as a sign of confidence in the practice. So meanwhile, I also worshipped at the main Buddha hall with a 7-bay facade containing a Buddha triad in the middle, flanked by Bodhisattva Manjusri and Bodhisattva Samantabhadra. So at the Maitreya Pavilion, a 3-story building with a 7-bay facade, I venerated 72 worthies, 10,000 bodhisattvas, 16 arhats. And of course, these are referring to artistic pieces, depictions of Buddhist sages and practitioners. And from this journal, we can get a sense of how deeply the Buddhist monastery has influenced Chinese culture and art. In fact, without Buddhism, Chinese culture would be a lot less diverse than it is today. So there were also the relics pagoda of monk Jietuo and another one for Suozhigu. They were considered to have been reincarnations of bodhisattvas. The grand building of constant abiding had a 5-bay facade. Its upper story was used as a sutra repository, and the lower section as living quarters for the assembly, daily lodging for more than 500 people. So even in ancient times, monasteries could be very large in scale, often with 500 or 1,000 monastics staying in the monastery. And so, of course, the monastery layout could be adjusted in order to accommodate the needs of the Sangha. So in this case, there were many other rooms, corridor halls, various structures, and cloisters. There are simply too many to count every meritorious devotion and ritual taking place at the monastery. And I am sure that in Thailand, there is also a very rich tradition of monastery design and management, and one that I am very curious of and hope to have the opportunity to learn more in the future. Now, I would like to share with you a video which would maybe give you a sense of how the traditions at the monastery shape the rhythm and the pace of everyday life and practice. So in Chung Tai Chan Monastery, we have this tradition called morning bell and evening drum. And this is what is shown in the video. So if you don't mind. I think there is no sound right now, so let me explain what is going on. Every morning at 3:45 a.m., a monk will strike the board to wake the Sangha. And then after the board is struck, then it becomes time to chant to the morning bell. So the morning bell is a sign that the day is about to begin. What we see here is a student monk who is assigned to do the morning bell chanting. And he will strike the bell 108 times to represent the 108 vows that a bodhisattva should make as part of his practice. Now he is saying, 将此身心奉承刹, which means, I vow that this body and mind will serve the myriad worlds. 是则名为报佛恩, which translates to, in order to repay the kindness shown to me by the Buddha. And then he will hit the bell, so it goes kwang. And before the chanting begins, it is customary to make a vow. 愿指终身超法界，铁为幽暗悉皆闻。闻成清净正圆通，一切众生成正觉。Which means that I vow that the sound of this bell will travel across the thousandfold worlds. And so all sentient beings can hear this bell and realize the nature of their mind to awaken to the enlightenment of the Buddha. Now, after the bell is finished playing, then a monk will begin hitting the drum. And the drum will lead into morning chanting. So there is this sequence of events that is repeated every morning inside the Mahayana monastery. And of course, as a monastic manager, you would have to train and provide the system for this ritual or this means of practice to be perpetuated so that the next generation can continue and to learn from these practices that have been transmitted over time. Okay, so, and in this example, we talk a little bit about how the Mahayana monastery developed in general, in a general sense in ancient China. But the Chung Chan Monastery belongs to a school called Chan, or Zen. So you might have heard the word Zen from many publications in English, all talk about Zen, but the Chinese pronunciation of Zen is Chan. And Chung Chan Monastery belongs to this tradition. Now, in ancient China, during the dynastic period, Mahayana Buddhism developed into many, many different schools. So there was the consciousness only, the middle treatise, also the Tiantai school. And the Chan school was the last to develop. But it made many innovations and contributions to this idea of monastic management. And that is because Chan is a little bit different from other Mahayana traditions in the sense that it emphasizes meditation as a central means of practice. And so the Chan monastery, as you will see, is structured around this practice of meditation. So when the Chan school began to arise during the Tang dynasty, which was about 1,100 to 1,400 years ago in China, Chinese monastic design and monastery management entered a new stage. So to better understand its impact on Mahayana Buddhism, it is helpful also to consider the historic development of the Chan school. Now, according to the tradition, as it is taught in our monastery, Chan is considered to be the mind-to-mind teaching that was brought to China from the from India by the monk Bodhidharma, as you see in the picture. And this was during the northern and southern periods, about 1,600 to 700 years ago, so a very long time ago. And when Bodhidharma arrived in China, he very famously sat in a cave behind Shaolin Monastery for 9 whole years, facing a wall. And during this time, many people came to seek his teachings. They asked, oh, this sage from India, I wonder what kind of insight can he offer to the Buddhist tradition here? But he rejected them all. It was until the second patriarch called Huike, who, according to legend, he stood outside Bodhidharma's cave in the snow all day and night in order to learn from this teacher. And Bodhidharma still did not accept him until this monk, Huike, he cut off his own arm in order to show his sincerity. And at this point, Bodhidharma said, oh, so this person, he's a real seeker. Maybe he can be a vessel for the teaching. And so he transmitted what is known in Chan as the mind seal to Huike, who became the second disciple, or the second patriarch. So the picture on the left, you can see this scene where Huike is asking Bodhidharma to receive the teaching. Now, during the early years of Chan, this teaching was transmitted from person to person in a single lineage. So at any time, there were only one person who understood the Chan teaching. And this period was called the single line transmission. So why do I mention this? What does it have to do with monastery management? Because during the early days of the Chan school, there was no need for a specific place, a dedicated place for the Chan Sangha. There were no Chan monks, only one. This changed when it reached the Tang Dynasty and the transmission reached the sixth patriarch called Huineng. And Huineng in Chinese Zen is the most influential teacher because he changed the tradition of single line transmission and began transmitting the right to teach to anybody who genuinely realized the nature of mind and the essence of Buddha Dharma, initiating what is called the period of mass transmission. So what was once a single line turned into many different branches of practice. And there are 5 schools or 5 houses of Chan that developed during this time, called Lingji, Caodong, or Fayan, Guiyang, and Yunmen. And they all centered around an exceptional practitioner who taught his students. But as you can imagine, when Chan monks became more numerous, there was also a need for a dedicated place specific to Chan, where they could practice in the way that their teachers taught them. At first, there was no specific Chan monastery, and they stayed in monasteries of the Mahayana sect. So according to this scholar, he said, if a group of Chan monks was large, a separate section of the monastery was allocated to them, but their mode of life was ordered in accordance with the regulations of that sect, which means that because they had no dedicated place, they had to stay in monasteries that belonged to other schools, other traditions, and their practice was ordered in accordance with the rules of that school. But because these settings would often be older institutions, it was difficult for these Chan monks to settle down and to carry out their meditation practice. This began to change again when the need for a distinct Chan monastery was recognized, and it was realized through the efforts of 2 masters, one called Master Mazhu Daoyi and the other called Baizang Huaihai. It is said that Mazhu Daoyi was the first to establish a specific monastery, a dedicated monastery for Zen practice. But even though you have a place, if people are not clear about the rules of the practice, then you will have many different forms of practice belonging to the same school. For example, in the early years, there were no specific rules for how people could give a Dharma talk. What was the ritual that you would need to perform before you invite a monk to teach the Dharma? And every Chan monastery did it a different way. And so the second monk, the black and white picture you see on the screen, called Bai Zhang Huaihai, established a set of rules and regulations specific to Chan monasteries. And these two things combined together mark the emergence of a Chan institution in China, one with its own system of practice called the Chongling Monastery, or the Forest Monastery. Now, some of the innovations or some of the changes that the Chan school made to the traditional monastic design was the Chan monastery is organized around the Chan hall, the place of meditation. So under the Chongling system, there were basically 4 main halls inside the monastery: the meditation hall, the guest hall, the storehouse, and the robe and roll quarters, which refer to the abbot's administrative office. And the meditation hall would be where the monks lived and practiced. So if you can see, it might be hard to see from this picture, but along the walls there are what's called meditation stools. And behind the stools will be a space for Chan practitioners to lay their bedding every night. So they would live inside the meditation hall. That would be the center of their life. The importance of the Chan hall to the Chan monastery can be seen from a story about the Grand Master, our teacher, called Grand Master Wei. Now, when he was designing Chengtai Chan Monastery, he found an architect called Architect Li Zuyuan, who designed Taipei 101. So while he was an extremely accomplished architect, very skillful, but he never designed a religious building before. So he was confused. How do I start? What should I do? And the Grand Master responded, when you build a Chan monastery, start with the Chan hall. So through the single word, you can see how important the Chan hall was to the practice. Now, in this picture, you get a better sense of how Chan is practiced in a traditional sense, where the monks practice meditation inside the Chan hall, and they sit every day and they live inside the same place. So the rules and regulations will also tell you, like, for example, how to put your shoes when you are sitting inside the hall. The creation of these monastic regulations are based on both Mahayana teachings and Vajrayana traditions, and they formally structure the life of a Chan monastery. Inside the Chengtai vow of practice, it is said to outwardly manifest as an ordained monk, which means to take the Vajrayana precepts, but to inwardly accord with the unsurpassed seal, which means to strive for the enlightenment that is taught in the Chan school. These regulations also define hierarchies, and they clarified responsibilities and standardized ceremonial and communal practices. So in essence, with the development of the Chongling system, you have a format that can be replicated in any Chan monastery, which is why the Chan school began to flourish. And Chan is one of the few remaining Buddhist schools in China. But where there were 10 different schools, but after many, many, many years in history, now there are only 2, and Chan is. But by the Song dynasty, the Chongling system became relatively standardized. Almost every Chan monastery would run by the same rules and regulations, which meant that if you were a monk and you wanted to travel to different places, you would know what to expect. You would belong to the same culture and tradition. But even in modern times, these pure regulations, they still continue to serve as guidelines for Chan monastic management, and they are very influential in how Chengtai will make its administrative decisions. For example, within a monastery, the abbot will serve as the administrative and the spiritual head. And the main living quarters is called the Fangzang Si. Fangzang being a Chinese measurement for how large the building would be. And by extension, the abbot of a monastery came to be known as the Fangzang. Well, another innovation, This is a picture of how walking meditation is practiced in Chan. So in the morning, there were two great masters who taught about Vipassana meditation. And one of the ways you can meditate is by walking meditation. This is also practiced in Chan, but it is done in the Chan hall again, where you see with the Buddha statue in the center, there's a space around the statue where you can practice walking meditation. Now, the monks you see holding the staff are the proctors, are administrative officers of the meditation hall, and they are in charge of maintaining discipline. So if someone begins to raise wandering thoughts or they slack off in the walking meditation practice, then the proctors will use the staff to remind you, sometimes by giving you a gentle tap on the shoulder. But this is another way that Chan practice influenced the design of the monastery. Now, there was also another important innovation that the Chan school made, one which may seem a little controversial in the Thai tradition, because in the process of adapting to Chinese culture, at first, the Buddhist monastics still relied on alms begging. But as time went on, they began to understand the need for self-sufficiency. So the practice of agrarian culture was also integrated into this Chan school, which in essence meant that a monastery would manage areas of farmland in order to sustain the needs of the monastery, to further their cultivation. So what you see in this picture is the Chan system of agricultural practice, or working practice. This spirit of self-sufficiency also helped Zen or Chan survive different periods of social upheaval and religious persecution in China. So in China, there were 5 major periods of Buddhist persecution. And because the Chan monasteries had a measure of self-sufficiency, they could provide their own food, then they were able to persist through these periods of persecution when the government would force monks to return to the lay life or destroy temples. And so that is another very important reason why Chan is one of the 2 remaining schools of Chinese Buddhism. Also, there was a system of universal labor, which is called wuqing, which means universal invitation. Let's all come and work for the betterment of the monastery. And in our tradition, we also use the word chupo, which means to climb a hill, because these monasteries very oftentimes would be located in the mountains. And so when you needed to work, you would have to climb up the side of the mountain. And the act of climbing the mountain eventually began to become known as became used as a name to describe working cultivation. And if you remember the master Baizang Huaihai that we mentioned earlier, he also practiced these principles of working cultivation. There's a very famous story about this monk where when he became old and frail, his disciples still saw him working every day, hard manual labor. And they thought, the master is so tired, he looks so weak. Why does he still every day go out to work in the fields? And so they couldn't handle this. What did they do? They hid his tools. They hid his tools so he couldn't work anymore. And that night, when this master, Baizang, when it came time for him to eat a meal, he refused. He said no. And he said a very famous phrase, which is, a day without work is a day without food. And from that point onward, no one tried to stop him from working again. The reason why I mention this is because in Chengtai, this practice of working cultivation continues to this day. As you can see from this video, there's a monk playing the drum every morning. So this is part of the morning bell and evening drum. A monk will be assigned a variety of different tasks. And also, the monastery or the monastics will be in charge of leading the lay people to set up different ceremonies. So what you see right now are the monks and the nuns inside the monastery practicing working cultivation. So they work at their assigned job, and every day they just repeat this. But they use the process of working as a way of training the mind and simultaneously to create good connections with sentient beings, to volunteer your time, your effort, your knowledge to help other people. And so to give them an opportunity to come and learn the Dharma at the monastery. So that is the spirit of the system of working cultivation. And as you can see, oftentimes there will be many, many people who attend the ceremony. So without the support of the laity, without this system, it will be very difficult for Chung to hold these ceremonies. And that is why it is so important, this concept of Chan monastic management, even in the present day. So in addition to the abbot and executive monastics, there are also many specialized roles inside this monastery. Each of them are responsible for specific tasks. For example, you have a kitchen head, a vegetable head, fire keeper, water steward, dish steward, bell keeper, drum keeper, all different types of roles. When our teacher was a newly ordained monk, he served as the acolyte for the Buddha hall. And every morning, the acolyte has to wake up before all the other monks and nuns to set up the hall for morning service. So inside the Chinese tradition, a Buddha hall must have two things. One is called lamps, the other is incense. So before any service, before the Buddha hall is considered to be official, it has to have not only the statues of the enlightened ones, but also lamps and incense. And so lamp and incense became a name for the acolyte, the lamp incense master, the one who is the administrative officer in charge of the Buddha hall. And that is one of the traditions that developed in this monastic system. So the groups are often hierarchical, which means that there is an executive level, managerial level, and also team leaders. So there are generally 3 different levels in monastic management, and this will become important later. So while this is true for large monasteries, small monasteries often had to adapt and would combine roles. So it doesn't necessarily have to have a very detailed division of labor, but the system can be adapted to suit the needs of big and small monasteries. By the time of the Song dynasty, the construction and organization of the Chan Congli monasteries became increasingly complete, and it became standard for Chan practitioners to live communally, and oftentimes, prominent monasteries would have over 1,000 monastics. Now, finally, we return to modern times. So what does all of this have to do with modern monastic management? And in your work as Dhammaduta Bhikkhus, in your role as messengers of the Dharma, I am sure that in the future this is something you will have to ask yourself. But as Buddhism enters the 21st century, we have technology, AI, and communication is easier than ever. There's more potential to share the Dharma with a greater audience than ever before. So how do we adapt these traditional systems in order to meet the needs of modern times, while still fulfilling our mission of making Buddhism accessible for all people, of creating good connections with sentient beings, of promoting more peace and tolerance in the world? In other words, the central question at the heart of monastic management is that how can we, through the monastic system that provides a foundation for your cultivation, transform worldly blessings, human and material resources, into spiritual merit? Now, our teacher, Grandmaster Weidre, once taught us that once a monastery has been established, it must make good use of the wisdom and strength of collective effort, which means that monastery management at its heart is a team effort involving all different levels of monks and nuns, from managerial, executive, to team leaders. By coordinating these resources to spread the Dharma and benefit sentient beings, by working together in harmony and unity, then the vision of a universal Dharma, universal transmission, can truly be realized. And to guide us, to guide our Sangha in teaching the Dharma, the Grand Master proposed these 6 key principles for the development of the modern Chan monastery. And they are the 6 that you see on the screen before you. So the first is called division of labor and cooperation. In its daily operations, Chung Chan Monastery is divided into 3 major branches. There is the monastic administration, which is the Changzu, or the Sangha, which resides in the main monastery. And they are the governing body of Chung Tai. So it is responsible for coordinating Dharma affairs, so holding ceremonies, regulating how Dharma classes are taught, and educating the Sangha and overseeing all monastic matters. The second branch is called meditation centers. And meditation centers like Great Buddha Monastery in Bangkok are dedicated to teaching the laity or the public and to bring the wholesome influence of Buddhism into local communities. Each center is normally headed by an abbot or abbess, and they operate very much independently from the main monastery, under the guidance of, but still independently from the main monastery. And their mission is to guide practice, to teach the Dharma, and support lay practitioners. Chung Tai Chan Monastery also provides retreat houses for senior monastics who wish to deepen personal cultivation. In our system, once your Sangha age reaches 20 years, you can apply for 2 months of secluded practice every year. And the monastery will provide a retreat house and also food, daily necessities, and to ensure the safety and the well-being of those in retreat. And that is to say that every person, every department within the Sangha has its own duties and responsibilities, clearly defined goals. In the meditation center, underneath the abbot, there will also be the director of Dharma affairs, of administrative affairs, and the reception monk. And in addition to the monastic branch, meditation center includes Dharma supporters who contribute time, money, and effort to the running of this monastery. So, since every person has clearly defined goals, this division of labor is really in the spirit of cooperation. But only by viewing matters from the perspective of the entire community can true success be achieved. In the case of Chung Tai, the monastery and its meditation centers are mutually interdependent. Without Chung Tai, there would be no meditation centers, and without the meditation centers, there would be no Chung Tai. So the first principle is clear division of labor and cooperation. The second is the clear division of responsibility. Responsibilities should be carried out according to one's role and level within the organization. For example, an abbot has the matters that he is responsible for. For example, he will lead the Dharma ceremony. He will teach the classes and set the overall direction of the meditation center, the monastery. But underneath the abbots, the executive directors, reception masters, they each fulfill the duties appropriate to their positions. For example, in coming to Bangkok, our department within the main monastery would have to contact our affiliate branch and to set up a time to come and to have a place to stay. And this is all within the responsibility of the reception monk. In this way, every Dharma master and member of the team has an essential place within the community. So the emphasis is on that every member, every Sangha member can feel useful, has a place to contribute their skills and their knowledge, and to feel part of this community. And so the principle of monastic management, in this case, is built on this idea of cooperation and community, where everybody can contribute. In this way, the organization can develop steadily without depending on any single individual. The third is called full delegation of authority. And to truly implement the first two principles, the full delegation of authority is essential. And at the heart of this principle is this notion of trust. So I think coming here today, even though I think I am very much unworthy of providing this talk to the Dhammaduta Bhikkhus and Your Eminence, but I think that the monastery was still willing to give me an opportunity. And for this, I am very thankful. And also I can reflect on this third principle, that in order to delegate authority, then you must trust the people next to you, the Sangha members, your Dharma brothers, and to believe that only by working together, only when we trust each other, we have an opportunity to become a powerful force for this Dharma, to spread the Dharma in the world. And I can also see this principle reflected in the relationship between Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya University and Chung Monastery over these 5 years, where two different traditions come together in cultural exchange and the spirit of friendship, so that we can learn from each other in order to better ourselves and to further our mission of purifying the minds and the hearts of sentient beings. The fourth is called flexible coordination and management. And this is to say that if individuals are unable to view matters from the perspective of the whole organization, which is to say that in every decision that you make, the first consideration is not yourself as an individual, but the Sangha, the monastery as a whole. Only with this spirit can we achieve collective goals. Therefore, this coordination and management are essential. When problems arise, we must not stand by and wait, but instead address them promptly and decisively. One of the ways that monks are trained in this principle in Changtai is that even student monks have to come out and participate in planning large-scale Dharma ceremonies. And when they are responsible for a ceremony, they are given full responsibility. So how they arrange the seats, who comes, which path they will follow in order to attend, where they will park, the food that they will eat, all of these details will be the responsibility of student monks. And so they teach through this way, through this method of teaching, you really imbue a spirit of coordination and management to teach them to see themselves not only as an individual, but as members of a community, and to put the needs of the community before their own individual needs. The fifth is called advance with the times, which means continually and progressing and developing in step with changing conditions. In China, Chan has always been seen as a lively and adaptive school, which means that sometimes the methods may seem unorthodox, but throughout the development of Chan Buddhism, during every stage of Chinese history, the school was able to keep pace and to not be forgotten in history. The reason for this is because of this fifth principle, the willingness to advance with the times. When society has evolved from agriculture to industry and now into the AI and computer age, the question that we must answer is, how do we make use of technology, computers, language trainings, and all of these tools available to us now, but in order to create the wholesome influence of Dharma in communities around the world. The final principle is called return all dharmas to the source. And this refers to the essential teaching of the Zen or Chan school. Even though that propagating the Dharma and benefiting sentient beings is the fundamental responsibility of the Sangha, but at the same time, in the process of carrying out this mission, it must be done so with no attachment, with purity of mind, which is to say that all the outward practices must eventually return to your internal practice, to purifying your own mind and to continuing along the path as a practitioner yourself. So through these first 5 principles, members of the Sangha can cultivate compassion, merit, patience, and all other virtues in service to the monastery and society at large. But only the individual can practice the 6th principle, to return all dharmas to the source, to abide in non-attachment, in purity, without greed, anger, or ignorance. So through these 5 principles, and finally, by returning all dharmas to the source, we fulfill our fundamental responsibilities as monastics, and also embody this bodhisattva vow, which is shared by Mahayana practitioners to benefit sentient beings. In doing so, we learn not only from our ancestors, but also faithfully uphold the teachings of the Buddha and carry the Dharma forward in service to all humanity. I thank you again, members of the Bhutan delegation, Your Eminence Virochana Rinpoche, and all students at Dhammaduta College for giving me this opportunity to share a few thoughts on the Mahayana tradition and Chan Monastery. I sincerely hope that each and every bhikkhu will become a true vessel of the Dharma, guiding sentient beings for liberation from the cycle of samsara. Thank you.
Appreciate and thanks Most Venerable Master Xingzhen, Dhamma Instructor, Chung Buddhist Institute for Monks from Chung Monastery, Republic of China, for presenting such a wonderful speech on practical management of Buddhist monastery in Mahayana Buddhism. And without further ado, next may I kindly invite His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche to kindly offer or make offering to the Most Venerable Speaker. And in return, I also kindly request Most Venerable Master Xingzhen to offer back with some souvenirs from Chung Monastery. And next, may I also call upon Most Venerable Prakru Sutta Ratana Bandit, the Director of the Dhammaduta College, to also offer a souvenir from MCU.
Next, may I call upon Venerable Phra Mahavirat, representative of the student of Dhammaduta College, certificate in Vipassana Meditation International Program, to present the gift to the Most Venerable Xingzhen from the Chung Monastery. Chung Monastery, together with Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya University, have MOU on 29th November in 2023-24, and then we work together for propagate the Buddha teachings many times, and also we join together to visit many countries in Asia, Europe. Especially we visit together in the Sangha of Bhutan last year. So once again, thank you very much, the Venerable Xingzhen from Chung Monastery. So now we have a good opportunity to have the good knowledge and precious knowledge, wisdom delivered by the Most Venerable from the Sangha of Thailand. He achieved the Pali highest level 9 from Pali studies headquarters Ministry of Education in Thailand. The most venerable completed his study PhD in linguistics from Delhi University, Republic of India. And he is appointed as the Vice Rector for Student Affairs of Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya University. And also he is the Vice President of the Regulatory Office for Overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhus. And he is the Vice President of the Pali Study Headquarters in Thailand. And he is the Regional Sangha Governor of the 6th Regional Sangha of Thailand. So now may I ask representative of the Venerable Mahasangha, especially His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche, may I humbly and respectfully invite the Most Venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom to share your precious knowledge and wisdom to all venerable monks, the overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhus, please.
So he will be today's final speaker in this intensive special lectures from Mahathera and executives of MCU. Without further ado, may I kindly invite His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche once again to kindly pay respect to the Most Venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom, Associate Professor Doctor. Thank you very much. And the Most Venerable Associate Professor Dr. Phra Dhammavajirodom will be delivering his talk to His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche and the Dhammaduta Bhikkhus on the topic Qualifications of Dhammaduta Bhikkhus. So without further ado, I would like to turn over the stage to Most Venerable Sir.
May I pay my respect to His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche from Bhutan, along with the delegations from Bhutan, as well as overseas Dhammaduta or Buddhist missionary who participate in program today. For my session, I try to divide into two parts. The first one is going to talk about the history of Buddhism in Thailand. Apart from this one, I would like to talk about the qualifications or the quality of Dhammaduta Bhikkhu or Buddhist missionary going overseas, going abroad. I'm very sorry today I am not quite well. But I try to manage to come, as I know that His Eminence Rinpoche come to Thailand, participating the program of retreat or training of Dhammaduta going abroad. Talking about Bhutanese or Bhutan, it reminds me when I was in India on 1990 up to 99. At that time, we have many friends from Bhutan who came to India to study at Delhi University. As I know, it's more than 50 or 60 Bhutanese came to study at Delhi University. We become close friends with Bhutanese who come from Bhutan. As we know, on the 60th anniversary of our King Rama IX, the Crown Prince or the king at the present time of Bhutan being invited to come to Thailand to join and celebrate the 60th anniversary of our King of Thailand. At that time, it was very, very famous, very popular among Thai people. From that time, Bhutan or Bhutanese are very well known among Thai people. Many Thai people go to Bhutan to visit this country. For me, I have a chance to visit Bhutan just only one time. We accompany with the secretary of the Supreme Sangha Council, and also we have good chance to visit the palace of His Eminence Rinpoche, Virochana Rinpoche. That's why it's no doubt for us that we have close relationship with Bhutan or Bhutanese. Talking in terms of Buddhism, we are sons of the Buddha. Even we are different from talking in terms of the sect or Nikaya of Buddhism, we are different. But the ultimate goal of Buddhism, we go to the same goal. We try to reach the same goal mentioned by the Lord Buddha, that is Nibbana. Thailand follows the Theravada tradition. As we know, among the country following or applied the Buddhist Theravada traditions include Thailand, Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka. What about Mahayana? We have learned that Mahayana has spread to many countries. They include China, South Korea, Vietnam, and also Japan. Later on, we know that apart from Mahayana, we have one more sect. That is the third sect of Buddhism. Vajrayana. I forgot. Vajrayana. Many Tibetan or Bhutanese, most of them are informed by Vajrayana tradition. Vajrayana. That's why today we try to clarify about the sect or the tradition of Buddhism spreading to different countries. Where Theravada tradition, Mahayana, as well as Vajrayana. I would like to summarize the history of Buddhism spreading into Thailand. First, try to summarize. You may have seen the clear picture. We try to talk about Buddhism spreading into Thailand. That's why I have mentioned that the history of Buddhism in Thailand in this session, in this past. Buddhism entered Thailand in several phases and was connected with the ancient kingdom of Southeast Asia. The history can be summarized as follows. The first period, early period. In this period is what called Dharawati era. Dharawati era, Dhawarawadi. Early period, Dharawati era, around the 6th to 11th century CD. If you want to know about Buddhist era, how do we do? You just said 6 plus 543. 6 plus 543. Or 11 plus 543. It's become Buddhist era. Theravada Buddhism from India spread into the land of Suvarnabhumi, Suvarnabhumi, through merchants and monks. As we know that Sona Uttara, who came to this land, this place, in this area. An important center was Dharawadi. Evidence include Dhammajaka stone field, description, and Dharawadi Dhammavadi style Buddhist image. The land, or the golden land, which is called Suvarnabhumi, it names many provinces of Thailand, such as Kanchanaburi, Ang Thong, Suphanburi. It is a golden land. We believe that the Buddhism spread to this area first. How do we know like that? Because we have the evidence that is Dhammachakka stone field has been found at Nakhon Pathom province. Inscriptions also and Buddhist style Buddha image. The second step of the spreading of Buddhism into Thailand, or the Buddhism at that time, be influenced by Mahayana or Khmer influence. In this phase, in this area, is around 11 to 13th century CD. As I have mentioned, that if you want to know about BC, Puttha Sakarat, how do we know? You just set the CD, Christ era, plus 543. Then it become Buddhist era. During the dominance of the Khmer Empire over past of present-day Thailand, Mahayana Buddhism and Brahmin Hinduism became influential, especially in the northern part and central regions of Thailand. This is also the history of Buddhism in Thailand. During the CE 11th and 13th century, Thai people follow Buddhism with Mahayana tradition. And first step, Buddhism with the tradition, which is called Langkawong, Langkawangsa, the foundation of Thai Buddhism. We may say that the foundations of Thai Buddhism start from this period. Means Langkawangsa Theravada. The foundation of Thai Buddhism from the 13th century onwards. Theravada Buddhism from Sri Lanka spread into the Sukhothai kingdom during the reign of King Ram Khamhaeng, great Maharaj, and became the principal religion of the Thai state from now on up to the present day. Temples were built, the monkhood was supported, and Buddhist principles were applied to the governance. It means they adapt Buddha's teaching applied to governance. This is the history. Come back to Ayutthaya, to Ratanakosin period. Buddhism continued to receive royal patronage from the Thai king, in every era, like Satavat being patronated from Thai king. The religions, Buddhist religions, especially from the king Puthayot Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya, who restored the Tipitaka. and reorganized the Buddhist Sangha after the fall of Ayutthaya. Mean restore the Tipitaka จัดให้ทำพระไตรปิฎก This is the Buddhism in the period of Ayutthaya up to Ratanakosin period. Today, Theravada Buddhism is the main religion of Thailand. Theravada Buddhism is the main religion of Thailand and has profound influence on Thai culture, traditions, and daily life. Thai people follow Buddhism with Theravada tradition. As we already mentioned, that more than 90% of Thai people follow Buddhism. But we have to check again nowadays. It's late how many percentage of Thai people believe in religions or believe in Buddhism. But keep in our mind, in your mind, that Thai people follow the traditions of Theravada Buddhism. You may have seen nowadays worldwide communication, the people can connect each other. You may have seen that many Mahayana tradition also spread into Thailand, as well as Vajrayana. How do we know? Because we have our university here, which is called Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya Buddhist University. We open for everyone. Monks from different countries, whether Mahayana tradition or Vajrayana tradition, come to Thailand and study at Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya Buddhist University. Once they have finished, they had established the tradition of their own tradition in Thailand. As we know, Vajrayana tradition being established at Khao Yai or in Nakhon Ratchasima, as well as Mahayana also spread nationwide. Anyway, as we know, we are sons of the same Father. It doesn't matter that is which tradition we follow, whether Mahayana or Theravada or Vajrayana. We have the same Father, as I have mentioned. This the summarization. I try to briefly talk about the history of Buddhism in Thailand. Before going to the topic, I have been invited to talk today, which is called the qualifications of Dhammaduta. Bhikkhu. or we may frankly speak in English like a Buddhist missionary. Dhammaduta Bhikkhu is the technical term being used in our tradition. People may not know Dhammaduta Bhikkhu or Buddhist missionary who are going to spread or propagate Buddhism worldwide. This program or what should I say, a tradition that we are being trained to be Dhammaduta Bhikkhu before going to spread or propagate the Buddhism worldwide. It lasts for 32 years, which we say the class 32. Thai monks, mostly Thai monks, who wish to go abroad to become a Dhammaduta Bhikkhu. They must be trained first. And Mahachula Buddhist University is responsible for this project, this program, for 32 years. As we know, according to Thai Sangha law, Thai Buddhist monks, where they residing in Thailand or outside the kingdom, they're still required to comply with the Sangha law. This is what you have to know. It being mentioned at the Sangha law, where they are residing in the kingdom or outside the kingdom, they are required to comply with the Sangha law. And I have noticed many Bhikkhu Dhammaduta, what should I say? They don't know about this case. They believe, most of them believe that once they go abroad, they have followed the law of that particular country, and as well as Dhamma Vinaya or discipline. Vinaya or discipline. Only that much. In Thailand, apart from Dhamma Vinaya, monks are required to comply with the Sangha law. The Sangha law or พระราชบัญญัติคณะสงฆ์ being applied for us for almost 100 years since the King Rama V. Apart from Dhamma Vinaya, you may think that I prefer to follow just only Dhamma Vinaya. I don't care about the Sangha law. That is not true. It's not true. Dhammaduta Bhikkhu going abroad, they have to learn, to know, to clarify about Sangha law also. Because at the Sangha law, the law of Sangha, it talk about how the monks residing in Thailand or abroad, which are required to comply with the law. This you have to know. The qualifications of Dhammaduta Bhikkhu. The suggestion from me, the missionary monks Dhammaduta who go abroad to spread Buddhism should include strength in morality จิตต้องแข็งนะครับ morality knowledge communication and also adaptability morality knowledge communication and adaptability. Let me clarify. The main qualities are as follows. Strong knowledge of Dhamma and Vinaya. We, as a Dhammaduta, we should at least have strong knowledge about Dhamma Vinaya. The foreigner, they may ask us, what is Buddhism? Why do you follow Buddhism? A solid and correct understanding of Buddhist teaching also is necessary. And monastic discipline, monastic discipline. This also is very important. Ability to explain the Dhamma clearly. Ability to explain the Dhamma clearly and accurately. Ability to explain the Dhamma clearly. And also, you must have a capability to answer the question. The foreigners, or even Thai residing in abroad, I believe that most of them, they don't know about Buddhism. They know just only basic. But we will go deeply. What is the main teaching of the Buddha? They are not sure. Capability to answer the question and the resource doubt about Buddhism. Dhammaduta, qualifications of Dhammaduta. To choose have strong knowledge about the Dhamma and Vinaya. The second step, good moral conduct and discipline. This also is very important. Good moral conduct and discipline. Being calm, discipline, and worthy of respect. We have the example from Phra Asachi. Okay. Because of being calm, disciplined, and worthy of respect, he got his disciple, which is called Sariputta. Because of good moral conduct and discipline, we going abroad to spread the Buddhism or whatsoever, we also must learn how to do what to do. Strict observance of Vinaya also is very important. monastic rules. Serving as a good role model, since people often learn more than conduct than from words. Try to do, set good example, not just only talking. No one helps us. Some monastery, they live or they live there just only one month. We have to learn how do we practice from conduct than words. It means apart from talking, apart from teaching, you have to practice also. This morning, หลวงพ่อกทม have set example for you. How do we practice meditation, the basic meditation whatsoever. The third step, compassion also you must have, and patience, ความอดทน Patience with different in languages, culture, and way of thinking. We are among the different people, different traditions, among the foreigners. The thinking, way of thinking may different. The culture also is different. We try to adapt with them. Try to learn. How do we do? How do we know? How do we do? Respect for people of other religions and belief. Not just confined on the Buddhism. We are in foreign countries. They may believe, they may follow different traditions, different religions. We must respect for people of other religions and belief. Not narrow mind. อย่าไปใจแคบ Ability to work harmoniously with diverse community. We stay in different place, different area, different atmosphere. We try to adapt harmoniously with diverse community. You are reminded to do that. Language skills. Dhammaduta participating the training to be trained. They are quite weak about language skill. You should know also about different languages, not just only Thai. At least you know about basic knowledge of English. At least basic proficiency in English. English is being considered as the international languages. Some may say that now I have the technology. It's not necessary to learn, to study. But according to me, we must learn, we must study. Sometimes the translations by the technologies may not be correct. Okay, you should know that in which aspect That's particular word being translated. That's one and this one. You are reminded to study English, at least English or Chinese, if you plan to propagate Buddhism in China. We have language institutes here. Take class and study. Nowadays, we can study or learn English from everywhere. It appears on TikTok or on Facebook, everywhere. Try to study English. That's I request all of you. Learning English, we are studying English as a second language. It is not our mother tongue. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about grammar. According to linguistics, they say that first we start with lexical morpheme. After that, being followed by grammatical morpheme. Don't worry about grammar. Say whatever you want to express or you want to communicate. If you want to communicate, try to say. It doesn't matter that it's correct or what. But at least the contents or lexical morpheme it must be there. You must have knowledge of local language, if possible, which is called dialect. Dialect language. It will be highly beneficial for you. But my suggestion, you should know English as an international language. Ability to explain profound teaching in simple ways, understandable way. Try to study clearly and try to summarize into the simple way. That is the qualifications of Dhammaduta. You are suggested to learn language. This language, especially English, is a barrier. เป็นตัวขวางกั้น to make you not be able to propagate Buddhism. And also the qualifications of the Dhammaduta are Buddhist missionary. You choose no. You choose. I did not say you must know, but you choose no. The understanding the international culture, awareness of local custom, law and social etiquette, social etiquette กิริยามารยาทของสังคม You should know also the custom, the law, and social etiquette. And many Thai people, many Thai missionary, Bhikkhus, Dhammaduta, residing or living abroad. They don't know what is the social etiquette, the custom, even the law. That's why they have problem. We always think that we wish to follow our tradition, make noise. You don't care anyone surrounding you. You believe that I can do. After that, what happened? It's many case also being sent to the Sangha Supreme Council. We have problem, to create problem to them. Understanding modern and Western perspective were relevant. Flexibility in adapting teaching method to different audience. Also, you are suggested to do. Wisdom in teaching the Dhamma. Skill in using modern media. That's why I'm not worried about this one nowadays. New generations, they know how do we be skillful in using modern media and contemporary example. Using modern media. I believe that you are expert about using media, modern media, but it have positive side, also have negative side. Be careful. You are careless. Use that one, this one. You have they copy what you have sent to them or whatsoever. That is very dangerous for Thai monks at the present time. They don't care. It doesn't mean that they are careless. It doesn't mean they don't care. It means they are careless. That's why for the last year we have problem about Sangha societies. That is because of heedlessness or careless of our monks, of our friends. That's why you are reminded, even you residing in abroad. Don't say that I don't care, no one know, I can do everything. But the technology, the communication, this can connect everywhere worldwide. Even you do something in that particular country, in Thailand also, they know everything you have been doing. Isn't it? They know. You may sleep or you may stay alone. Oh, no one know. Using social media. Whatever you want to do. Be careful. You are reminded. Ability to connect Buddhist teachings with the daily life, such as stress, happiness, work, and family life. Thai people living abroad, they usually come to monastery. The monastery or the temple, whatsoever, you are located is located nearby. They don't know how to go, where to go. When the vacations or the holiday, they come to the temple or monastery. We must have ability to connect Buddhist teachings. They have problem. They stay away from their hometown. They live abroad. They feel lonely. What should we do at the Buddhist, at the Dhammaduta? What should we do? We also try to encourage them. I believe that most of them, they don't know how to do. They have problem about language barrier. As a monk, what should I do? Volunteerism, spirit in volunteerism. Try to help them. They may feel stressed, feel lonely, or whatsoever. And also sacrifice. This is one of the qualities of Buddhist Dhammaduta or missionary monk. Life abroad may involve hardship, loneliness, and limited support. As I have mentioned, ability to be self-reliant and resilient, dedication to the Buddha teaching without seeking fame or personal gain. Self-reliance, we already know that as Buddhist proverb, Attahi Atano Nato, no one helps us. We have to be ability to be self-reliant ช่วยเหลือตัวเองบ้างช่วยเหลือตัวเองด้วย Good human relations and leadership is also important. It is important for other qualities of the Dhammaduta Bhikkhu. Ability to coordinate with temples, communities, or organizations. Not just confine himself at the temple. Don't know what is going on outside. Try to coordinate with the temple. We may have many temples. As you know, in USA, the Thai temple has more than 100 temples located in USA. Try to coordinate with them. We may have Sangha, Macha, Sangha organization in abroad, or this one and this one. Yeah. Try to take part, be the member of that organization or whatsoever. Skill in building faith, trust, and cooperation, ability to guide and support Buddhist community overseas. That's why you are in summarizations. I try to summarize like this. The qualifications of the Buddhist monastery monks. The main qualifications include, the first one is knowledge of Buddhism. You must have. The second one, language ability. The third one, conduct and discipline. And the fourth one is personality. Patient, polite, gentle, able to work well with others, compassionate, and open mind. The fifth one is called teaching and communication skill. Also, is necessary for Dhammaduta Bhikkhu. Mental quality also is necessary. In summary, Dhammaduta Bhikkhu are monks who are knowledgeable in Dhamma, good communicators, well disciplined, and dedicated to spreading Buddhism worldwide. That's why I would like to summarize like this, that a good Buddhist missionary monk should possess the sound knowledge, good conduct, effective communication, and adaptability. These are called the quality the Dhammaduta Bhikkhu should have. The quality like this: sound knowledge, good conduct, effective communication, and adaptability. These qualities help inspire through faith and understanding, not merely through teaching, but through personal example. Try to remind. Okay, I would like to stop here. Now, I would like to finish here. Thank you very much. Thank you for His Eminence who, what should I say, to have patience, listening, just only the basic knowledge about the history of Buddhism in Thailand, as well as the suggestion for me, what about the qualifications of Dhammaduta, Bhikkhu, going abroad to spread loving kindness. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sadhu. On behalf of the organizing committee of today's program, I would sincerely thanks to Most Venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom, the 6th Regional Sangha Governor and the Vice Rector for Student Affairs of MCU, for being here and delivering a wonderful speech on qualifications of the Dhammaduta Bhikkhus. And without further ado, may I once again invite His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche to make offerings to the Most Venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom, followed by Mr. Edward Ko and Miss Mayha. May I kindly invite Most Venerables from Chung Monastery first, and followed by the two lay devotees, Mr. Edward Ko and Miss Mayha. May I also invite Venerable Pramahakatanyu, a representative from the Overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhu Class 32, to be one of the representative from the fellow Overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhus. And finally, may I call upon Mr. Edward Ko and Miss Mayha from Malaysia to offer the souvenir to the Most Venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom. Thank you very much to the Most Venerable. And before we end, I kindly invite Venerable Prasiti Vachara Bandit, Vice Rector for Foreign Affairs, to kindly give the vote of thanks to all the participants and also the Most Venerable.
So it is great honor and profound privilege of Mahachulalongkornrajavidyalaya University to have His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche attending the Overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhu Training Program Class 32 2026 this time. This is the historical event of our university. And then it is because of your presence in the university. And then we have a good opportunity, a good chance to have the distinguished speakers from Chung Monastery, the Most Venerable Xingzhen, together with Most Venerable Jiansu. And also we have a golden chance to have knowledge delivered by the Most Venerable Director, Professor Papom Vacharathirajaan, and also the Most Venerable Papom Vacharavimunmuni, the Provincial Sangha Governor at Bangkok. So because of His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche attending the Overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhu Training Program today, That's why we have a golden chance to have knowledge, compassion, wisdom, and everything, especially today. The most venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom, our teacher, he is the Vice Rector for Student Affairs of MCU, and also he is the Deputy President of the Regulatory Office of Overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhu. So I, on behalf of the most venerable, His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche, we can say you are the overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhu, class 32 of MCU. And on behalf of the honorable devotees from different countries in both Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, from Hong Kong, and from many countries, and MCU all over the world who watching MCU TV now, thank you very much, the most venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom and the most venerable Master Xingzhen and Master Jianju from Chung Thaisan Monastery. Thank you, honorable devotee from Malaysia, honorable devotee from Chung Thaisan Monastery, and together with from everywhere. Once again, I hope knowledge, wisdom, information, and everything can empower our students, the overseas Dhammaduta Bhikkhu, class 32, encourage you to propagate the Buddha teaching, spread the Buddha Dhamma to the people all over the world. So it is successful today. Thank you very much. Thank you. So next, may I would like to invite His Eminence Virochana Rinpoche to present a small gift to the overseas, to your classmates. Okay. To your classmate. Okay.
We will also take a group picture as a historic moment once His Eminence has offered the souvenir to all the Dhammaduta Bhikkhus, class of 32, along with the most venerable Phra Dhammavajirodom and Mahathera and the members of the Sangha who is available here in this auditorium hall.
ครับนิมนต์พระธรรมทูตขึ้นข้างบนตั้งแถวให้เรียบร้อยนะครับทั้งหลักสูตรประกาศนียบัตรทั้งหลักสูตรวุฒิบัตรนะครับถ่ายภาพเป็นอนุสรณ์ครับส่วนท่านที่พรรษา1 ถึงพรรษา 5ก็นิมนต์นั่งข้างหน้านะครับนิมนต์นั่งข้างหน้านะเอาเก้าอี้ไปอีกตัวหนึ่งเอาเก้าอี้ตัวหนึ่งเป็น11ครับเอา11แล้วนะครับนิมนต์ตั้งแถวให้เรียบร้อยนะครับท่านองค์เล็กๆนะครับนั่งด้านหน้านะครับจัดแถวให้พวกเราจัดแถวให้เรียบร้อยนะครับนิมนต์ท่านอาจารย์ไพบูลย์อาจารย์ทวีนี่ครับนิมนต์นะครับนิมนต์ทุกท่านขึ้นนะครับเดี๋ยวในเบื้องต้นให้พระนะครับ
ครับขออนุญาตประชาสัมพันธ์ให้ทราบนะครับมีท่านใดทำซองสีขาวตกหล่นที่ไหนไหมครับซองปัจจัยนะไม่ทราบจำนวนนะครับมารับที่ผมได้นะครับมีพี่ช่างภาพเก็บมาให้ผมนะครับก็ขออนุญาตประชาสัมพันธ์ถ้าท่านใดทำปัจจัยซองสีขาวหล่นที่ไหนสักแห่งมารับที่ผมนะครับไม่ทราบจำนวนนะครับ